Okay, in this video, I'd like to cover the second half of what we started before with beginning pitching. This is going to cover what happens from the belt upwards. In our last video, we did the bottom half. We did something called stand tall and then fall. And we also did inside that up, down, and out. Today we'll cover the second half, which is everything that goes into the process of throwing. Now, the reason I covered the bottom half in the first part of the video series is because nothing can happen unless you have the leg action together. Let's face it, nothing is going to go anywhere unless your legs are a part of the action and they know what to do. Nothing is going to happen unless you use your legs properly and you use the proper action in order to throw the ball with as much velocity as possible. Now, as far as the action from the belt upward goes, everything is subject to what you do on the bottom half. That being said, there are various types of pitches that people like to use, and we're going to divide the action up with two separate parts of the upper side action, and this is going to be called the handbrake. And the handbrake is where you pull the hands apart and you actually go into the action of throwing the ball. Everything that happens before the handbrake is going to be called the preamble. And for different people, the preamble is something, it's something different in every case. Most people have the same preamble. And that preamble is to take a good look at who's standing at the batter's mound, at the plate, and make a decision as to what kind of ball they're going to throw. Some pitchers have the basic idea to just be as efficient as possible. That always works out best. And what that means is you're going to do the first part of this, okay? You're going to step up to the pitcher's mound, foot beside the rubber block, or on the rubber block, whatever you may prefer. And then, of course, you're going to balance on this leg, pull this leg back and get ready to do something with it. And for most people, that action is to bring the knee up to here, okay, and then come out and then down and plant the foot. One of the most important things about planting the foot is this cannot be fired until that foot is planted in the ground. Now, one of the best ways to describe this is try to imagine a crane with one wheel off the ground. Of course, that would be crazy. We've all seen YouTube videos where the construction equipment that they put out really wasn't quite set up properly and it fell over. That's one of the reasons why things don't work out well in pitching, because a person is not properly set up to throw the ball. So when this foot comes down and goes out and lands, it is once this foot is in position that the pitcher can make an accurate determination as to where the ball is going to actually go, how the ball is going to fly through the air. Now, when I said that everything is a preamble before the handbrake, everybody has a different idea of what that preamble will be. Now, there's an old-fashioned style of doing things, at least we call it, or consider it an old-fashioned style of doing things. It's called the Bob Feller wind-up. And people wonder why he did it or where it came from, but it's just something that's been around for really over 100 years, and people used to do it, and I haven't seen anybody do it lately. But you take the hands. I'll explain to you what the idea is of it. when you bring the hands down, you pull them back behind the back like this. Okay? Now, when you have your hands behind your back, you can exhale about as far as you're going to exhale. Okay? Now, right after that, the hands are going to come up together and up over the pitcher's head. This is very typical to do this. Roger Clemens did it. A whole bunch of pitchers do it. This allows the rib cage to be opened as far wide as possible, and you can take a deep breath. And that's a good idea for a lot of people. A lot of people will tell you that Nolan Ryan, during his 6th no-hitter, when he was throwing his hardest ball, he would grunt when he would throw the hard ball. And to do that, you need a chest full of air. You need to take a good breath. So the preamble of raising the arms above the head is a good idea if you want to take a deep breath. So that may be where that came from. But few pitchers will do this full action here. Few. Now there is another type of preamble. There'll be no backward motion back here, but they'll pull the hands over the head. Now that's kind of typical stuff, and it seems to be an interesting lead up to the hands coming apart right here. Now we're going to come to the handbrake right here, and this is where the real action starts to happen. This is where things really get going. And if you don't have this part down yet, you're never really going to be effective. You're never really going to be able to get your proper balance, which is the critical factor throughout this entire execution. You're going to pull your hands out. Typically, in most cases, this hand is going to come back here, and you're going to ready up, and then you're going to throw the ball like this. This hand is going to come out here to some degree, and then this hand is going to come forward like this, and the ball is going to be discharged. Now, there's a critically important element to this part of pitching, and this is where balance really comes in. This is where balance really becomes the single biggest part of what pitching is about. And that's because if you don't have balance, this is where you're going to see your injuries show up. And I'll make a demonstration. Your hand is coming out, okay? This arm is coming back. This arm is coming out here, and you're ready to lead forward. I didn't come up here, but I'm staying down here. I'm just leading out with the foot just for this video, to make it simple. You're going to throw the ball. The ball is going to have the ability to leave your hand with the ability based on how far this ball came back here and how it's being set up to be thrown. The thrower who will bring this arm out, come back here, and throw from right here it's the most typical pitching stance there is in all of pitching. And the interesting aspect about it is that it's very, very hard to throw the ball really fast. You have to throw with brute muscle force to get everything you can out of your shot. We have to remember also that when the ball is being thrown, the ball is being released right about here. Most people think the ball's released out here somewhere. The ball is not released out here. The ball is released right about here. And because of that, all your power has to be basically from about here to here. That's where you add the real force in. Now, before that, where the ball comes in and what it does over here is the single most critical part of getting the ball to move with real velocity. And I'm going to give you some examples. Most pitchers will come back to here, okay? And this is what I call the jink, okay? They'll come back to here, okay? And the ball will jink, come to a stop, and then come forward. Extremely inefficient. very, 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 very hard to work with that. Now, the reason, I mean, you wonder, you say, well, what are you supposed to do? You know, you pull the ball back and you throw it. There is a way that you can deliver the ball, and instead of coming back here to a jink, a stopping point, the ball actually stops before you let it fly. Okay, the question you can ask is there a way that the ball can have any more power by traveling in a different motion? And the answer to that is yes. You can look at some of your most popular pitchers, and two examples that come to mind are Sandy Koufax and Tim Lincecum. Both of those pitchers will do something that is really quite spectacular and really, really useful in terms of delivering the ball.